I could still remember that 55-minute question, and the only people that were in the room were staff, and it was her last meeting. 55 minutes.
Okay, you're live.
Okay, let's call to order the regular city council meeting for April 27th. Before we do roll call, the city attorney has an announcement.
Thank you. The procedures adopted for this meeting meet or exceed the standards set forth in Governor Gavin Newsom's order N-25-20, which allows public meetings like this one to be held by teleconference to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. And now I'll ask the clerk to please conduct roll call and ask the mayor to recognize me afterward.
Councilmember Armstrong.
Here.
Councilmember Burrows.
Here.
Councilmember Zafar.
Here.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Here.
Mayor Hudson.
Here. We recognize the city attorney again.
Thank you. And based on the responses to the roll call, the record should reflect that all council members can hear the proceedings clearly. And if there are no objections, the record will further reflect that the council members all believe, based on voice or facial recognition, that persons representing themselves to be council members this evening are in fact council members.
We are.
Seeing no objection, I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Mayor, with a reminder that all votes must be taken by roll call.
Okay, just before we do the Pledge of Allegiance, just let people know that at this time of night, the light starts coming through the window at City Hall. So I just might get darker and darker and darker for a little bit, or have to find a better background. I don't think that has anything to do with it. If you would, please mute and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any announcements tonight, Madam Clerk?
There are no announcements.
Okay, there are no changes to the agenda. We'll move right to 3.2. What the, oh, there are no changes. If you wish to speak under public comment or regarding an agenda item, please click the raise your hand button on your computer or *9 on your telephone to request to speak when public comment is being taken on the agenda item. You will then be unmuted when it is your turn to make your comments for up to 3 minutes. After the allotted time, you will then be remuted. Boards, committee, and commission meetings, a complete list of upcoming meetings may be found on the city's website at www.sanramon.ca.gov. Subscription service is available at the link for automatic meeting notification. Contact the city clerk with questions at 925-973-2539. Public comment is now open. Members of the audience are encouraged to address the city council on any item, non-agenda item. Members of the public who are participating via Zoom will have the opportunity to make comments to the city council live through Zoom application. Comments from the public on non-agenda items may also be submitted by email to cityclerk@sanramon.ca.gov. Did we have any under public comment? I know we have one later.
I did not receive any written comment for this item.
Okay, and they will not be read. If you wish to present your comments to the public, you may do so via Zoom or telephone during this public comment period, or the second public comment period that comes later in the day. Let me look and see where we're at right now. We have one attendee that wishes to speak. So let's get Lorena in here and let her have 3 minutes. You're up, Lorena, but you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Wonderful. So I just have a question regarding the council and the, I'm not sure how this works, but how does the council work to start opening up the businesses even before Newsom's big opening on June 15th?
So we'll probably have to get you a more detailed thing on that. Is there anything else you'd like to do on public comment?
Not at this moment.
Okay, it isn't like a question and answer, just we take the public comment and then we get back to you on written comment, or later in the evening, sometimes the question is such that either a council member or the mayor or city manager has some comments, they may be able to speak. But is there anyone else that wishes to speak under public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public comment, and our next item is consent calendar items. Items 5.1 through 5.8 are considered routine and are acted upon by the city council with a single action. Members of the audience wishing to provide public comment may request by email. Have we had any emails to pull 5.1 through 5.8? Any of those? Seeing
No.
none, is there anyone on the council that wishes to pull 5.1 through 5.8 or move 5.1 to 5.8?
I can move.
See, I
5.1
mean,
through 5.8.
Sabina, did you have a question first, Scott, or you just want to move?
No,
Okay.
I was gonna second.
Okay, we have a motion so far, second Perkins, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Armstrong,
Yes.
Councilmember Veros,
Yes.
Councilmember Zafar,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perkins,
Yes.
Mayor Hudson.
Yes. We are 5-0 right out of the gate. Next item is a special presentation. It's always good. Patty Hoyt, are you here? Let me look under attendees to make sure she's here.
She is. I'll promote
Yes,
her
good to
right
have you here. We bet probably get her in here so I can read a proclamation for her. How long have we been working on this? It's got to be at least 3 decades. Anyway, we have a proclamation of the City Council of the City of San Ramon recognizing April 2021 as Alcohol Awareness Month. Let me see if there's a, before I read this, Patty, did you want to say anything or would you like to wait till after I read the proclamation?
I'll wait till after so that you can give all the statistics and I don't have to.
Okay, and they are impressive. Whereas alcohol is the most commonly used addictive substance in the United States. Now, whereas alcohol is the 3rd leading cause of death in the United States behind tobacco use and poor diet. And whereas in 2019, approximately 14.5 million people aged 12 and older had an alcohol use disorder. And whereas according to the 2019 Youth Risk Behavior Study, among high school students nationwide, in the past 30 days, 29% drank alcohol, 14% binge drank, 5% drove after drinking, and 17% rode with a driver who had been drinking. And whereas according to the 2019-2020 California Healthy Kids Survey in the San Ramon Valley Unified School District, 26% of 11th graders report having alcohol. Of 7th graders report alcohol is easily accessible. And whereas young people who begin drinking before age 15 are 16 times more likely to develop alcohol dependence or abuse than those who begin drinking at age 21. And whereas a supportive family environment is associated with lower rates of alcohol use for adolescents. And whereas kids who have conversations with their parents and learn a lot about the dangers of alcohol and drug use are 50% less likely to use alcohol and drugs than those who don't have such conversations. And whereas ADAPT San Ramon Valley works with the San Ramon community, including students, parents, educators, and law enforcement to create an environment that decreases youth access to alcohol and changes community norms in regard to underage drinking. Now therefore be it that the San Ramon City Council does hereby proclaim April 2021 as Alcohol Awareness Month and encourages all community members to pledge to take a stand to prevent underage drinking and alcohol abuse. What a worthwhile, Patty, is there anything more you can add to this? Every time I read this stuff and see this, it just stuns me.
Well, I first of all want to thank you for year after year allowing me to come and speak to you and giving us the proclamation recognizing April as Alcohol Awareness Month. The city of San Ramon, the town council, the city council have all been very supportive of the efforts to reduce not just underage drinking, but marijuana use and prescription drug abuse. And so I really appreciate that and really am thankful to do this. And Dave, you may have, Mayor, you may have been doing this for 30 decades, but this is my, let's see, 8th year coming before you. 13, yeah, 8th year coming before you, and the coalition was around a couple years before that. So you've been very generous. What I would like to, in addition to thanking you for that, what I do want to also announce is the work of my coalition is funded by Contra Costa County Alcohol and Other Drug Services. And county staff has been pleased with many of the objectives that the coalition has been able to meet. And as a result, they've indicated that other parts of the county have the need for more additional prevention resources than here. And so they have informed us that they will no longer be funding the work of this coalition through Discovery Counseling Center. So ADAPT will cease to be a coalition starting June 30th. So my hope is that the work that has gone on to date will continue, that you all will carry forth the prevention efforts that you've been doing along with me, that you guys will now have to be the torchbearers without this coalition in place. There's still projects to complete, and I'm going to work hard in the next 2 months to get them, one of them being adding marijuana to the social host ordinance. I've been working with Captain Carlson on that currently. So there's still some things, some loose ends to tie up, but this will be my last time to come before you as the prevention coordinator at Discovery Counseling Center. So thank you so very, very much for all your support.
Thank you, Patty. Any comments?
Yeah, I can.
Yes, Sabina.
I just want to say thank you, Patty, for always bringing this and, doing such important work around alcohol awareness. I think especially during COVID, we've absolutely seen a rise in this. This has led to so many other things. And I think not just kids, but for parents as well, it's important to understand how to have those conversations with your children and be able to, talk about the awareness. And you can never have enough awareness around, some of these things, including alcohol, including, like you said, prescription drug abuse. So really want to thank you for raising this, and anything we can do as a council or as individuals to help take action and help, reach the community. Please feel free to reach out always.
Will do. Thank
Just want to say thank you.
Well stated, Sabina. Anyone else? Because I go ahead, Shridak, and then Mark.
Thank you, Patty, for proclamation and sharing the numbers. The numbers definitely shows that alcohol misuse and abuse impacts on our community as well as the nation itself. And I think you bringing this proclamation in April definitely helps and highlights the dangers of underage drinking, especially now with the graduation season. Hopefully with this COVID-19 that is going to be open up, then the graduation season starts. And I'm glad that we are doing proclamation in April so that we can increase the public awareness and understanding about the alcohol issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Member Armstrong.
Yeah, I also like to thank you, Patty, for your efforts. There's just so many pressures on our youth today, and alcohol is so available. The numbers are just staggering. So thanks to you and the coalition and the Discovery Counseling Center for all the work that you do, and great to see you.
Good to see you.
Vice Mayor Perkins, you have anything to add? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Patty, for all you've done. And I'm sure what you will continue to do many, many valuable things in our community. We really do appreciate it. And you must have been a teenager or just a little bit older when you started all this, because you're still looking great.
Thank you.
Okay. No, I remember, Patty, we went back even well before ADAPT when we thought we had a problem in the community. And we brought together, people from every different community, it seemed like, for CASA. And from those days, I'll never forget, I believe the numbers that I just read to you are understated. Grossly under. It's scary how big this problem is. And back many years when my kids were in school, it would seem like you were reading something. Remember when there used to be newspapers? You would read in the paper where one of our kids was just, finding a tree or a rail or, whatever. It didn't get enough play because I don't think people want to hear about alcoholism. But the amount of parties and this binge drinking stuff is just out of control. We had a meeting, I think there were at least 20 kids, high school kids, that we sat down at a school and we asked them to list every problem they thought they had in school, whether it was bullying, whether it was drugs, whatever it was. They came up with 126. There was no limitation on it. Anything that you think is a problem, listed. They listed 126 different items. Not one of them was drinking. They don't see it as a problem. And that's scary. I mean, you just saw it's third. But anyway, I maybe the name will change. Adapt will be to readapt or something, Patty. But I really find it hard to believe that you're going anywhere. It'll just change names and it'll be the same thing until we can make some inroads into this, because this is really, really bad. All right. We don't have any attendees speaking to this either. So we just will say on behalf of the entire council, thank you, Patty. Keep up the good work, because we know that you'll be doing it well past when this June deadline comes. Again, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye now. Okay, let's move on to item 6.2. Another very important issue, another proclamation of the City Council of the City of San Ramon declaring April 2021 as Donate Life Month. Whereas more than 860 individuals in Contra Costa County are currently on the National Organ Transplant waiting list, and 22 patients die each day due to the shortage of donated organs. And whereas Donor Network West, headquartered in San Ramon, serves as a federally designated organ procurement organization in Northern Central California and Northern Nevada, and works in close partnership with families, doctors, nurses, and coroners in hospitals to connect donors to recipients. And whereas Donor Network West and their hospital partners and clinics provide high quality, compassionate, and accessible health care for all persons in Contra Costa County to save and heal lives in our community through donations. And whereas Contra Costa medical examiners serve the community by conducting objective medico-legal death investigations in a compassionate manner into all deaths in Contra Costa County in collaboration with Donor Network West, works in partnership to save and heal lives in our community through donations. And whereas organ and tissue are life-giving acts recognized worldwide as expressions of compassion to those in need that save thousands of lives each year. A single individual's donation of the heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and small intestines can save up to 8 lives. And donations of tissue can save and heal the lives of up to 75 others. Now, whereas the need for donated organs is especially urgent in Hispanic, Asian, and the African American community. Whereas over 15 million Californians have signed up with the state authorized Donate Life California registry to ensure their wishes to be organ and tissue donors are honored. California residents can sign up with the Donate Life California Donor Registry when applying for or renewing their driver's license or ID cards at the California Department of Motor Vehicles. Now therefore be it that the City Council of the City of San Ramon does hereby proclaim April 2021 as National Donate Life Month and encourage all community members to check yes when applying for renewing their driver's license or ID card, or by signing up at donornetworkwest.org. And I forgot to ask you to bring in Janice Whaley. Did you already do that?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Janice, hopefully I caught everything there. Do you have some more to add for us?
Yeah, I just want to first of all thank you all for this proclamation. And I'm the President and CEO of Donor Network West. We're the federally designated organ procurement organization for Northern California and Northern Nevada. You mentioned the fact that there's quite a few people waiting. In Contra Costa County alone, there's over 900 patients waiting on a transplant right now, today. And so we're proud to be a member of the San Ramon community. We're committed to saving and healing lives through organ organ and tissue donation for transplantation and research. And we work in partnerships with 175 hospitals, more than 500 funeral homes, and 44 coroners and medical examiners. We hope to one day end the organ transplant waiting list. On behalf of Donor Network West, I would like to thank the City of San Ramon and the City Council for their support of National Donate Life Month. We try to celebrate every April and dedicate it to a month of encouraging Americans to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors, and to honor those that have saved lives through the gift of life. There are approximately nationwide 110,000 people waiting on an organ transplant, and every day 20 people die waiting on that gift, that precious gift. That's why it's so important that more people register to become organ donors. One donor can save up to 8 lives through organ donation and heal another 75 people through tissue donation. So today and throughout the month of April, we encourage all San Ramon residents to consider registering to become an organ donor. And to learn more about organ and tissue donation, to register to become a donor, you can visit our local DMV or also go to donornetworkwest.org. We applaud our local healthcare partners for their efforts. We continue to realize the gift of life throughout this devastating pandemic, and we look forward to continuing to work with the City of San Ramon and San Ramon City Council to educate the community about the importance of organ, eye, and tissue donation. Thank you again, and I hope you all have a great evening.
Well, thank you, Janice Whaley, and thank you, Donor Network West. Council members wish to speak to this?
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm always curious that when we select that and we have the little red dot on our license, in case, when we do pass away, how do our family members, is there a number they call? Because I didn't see one on the driver's license. So how do you guys get notified?
So the driver's license bureau, they have a registry. So when you sign up to be a donor, you're on that registry. Right. As an organ procurement organization, we're the only ones that have access to the registry to be able to identify. So if a hospital calls us to refer someone who might meet the criteria to be a potential donor, we are able to look to see if you're on the registry by having that information that they call in to us. And so that's how we determine whether or not you are on the registry. And so we share that information with your family once we are able to meet the family and have the discussion. We do a notification at that time.
Yeah, no, I'm curious, like if you don't end up in the hospital and you're at home and is there something, like I've always wondered, like how would my family notify?
Yeah, unfortunately, less than 3% of the death population can actually be organ donors. There's a certain criteria, and one of them is in order for the organs to be viable, you have to be on a ventilator, which helps support oxygenation to your organs. Tissue donation, we do at times have families that if someone dies at home, they say, hey, I see on the driver's license that my loved one wanted to be a donor. And for tissue donation, 24 hours from the time of your death, if there's appropriate cooling, we would be able to look to see whether or not you could be a donor, like the coroner or whoever comes to pick up the body and arrange that, or even the funeral home would call and say, hey, their loved one says they might want to be a donor. And we just have to make sure that the maximum amount of time since your death has not exceeded the amount of time that would allow for us to recover tissues for transplant. But organ donation is certainly something that occurs in the hospital, and the has to be someone who is maintained on a ventilator.
Okay.
Yeah.
Member Armstrong.
Yeah, thanks, Janice, and thanks to Donor Network West for all the work that you do. I think many of us at this stage of our lives know someone who's been in need of or been a recipient of a donation, and whether organ or tissue or whatever. And, you know, not everyone can donate blood. That's another great thing. But some people, for whatever reason, aren't able to donate blood. But we can all donate our organs, or at least sign up to do that, and have that indicated on our driver's license. It's just so easy. So I hope this proclamation will encourage our residents to become donors, and hopefully one day save a life. So thanks again for all the work that you do, and for Donor Network West.
Thank you very much. And may I just add one more thing that
You certainly can.
Yeah, well, what we found out is that COVID, the impact on some patients has resulted in them needing lung transplants, heart transplants, and kidney transplants. So now the pandemic is adding to the wait list, patients to the wait list, and they may survive the COVID, you know, the initial illness, but some of the side effects have now become organ failure for some. And so we've listed a lot of patients who are now needing an organ because they had COVID. So, you know, there's so many people that need that second chance, and it's nobody's fault that they caught COVID, but we certainly know that the need is going to continue to be there, and we know that organ transplantation is successful. So we encourage everybody to save a life and leave a legacy.
Okay, thank you. Member Verosa Perkins?
You know, Mark kind of took all the, you've done a fabulous job of helping people, and in bittersweet moments, it can be tough on the one family that's donating, and a blessing on the family that's receiving. And so I wish you all the luck and prosperity and success in doing your mission. I think it's fabulous.
Thank you very much.
Janice Shudar?
I would like to say thank you, Janice, and to your Donor Network West for all your great work. It's like the numbers, like you said, 20 people die every day because lack of availability of organs. Yeah, that's like within each life that can be gifted and bring back to life. That's a great power and a great cause. I definitely admire all your work helping community. So one quick question I have is about, do you have these awareness programs within the community?
Yes, we do. We did have to pivot and go virtually for most of our education and our public events because of the pandemic. But we do a lot of education in schools, universities, communities, you know, where we've been able to go virtually, we have. And we try to do as many things as possible to continue the word. You know, our DMV has a lot of information about donation too as well. So wherever we can, we try to get the word out.
That sounds good. One thing I can think of, because when I signed up a long time back, I didn't know all this. I just checked the mark, right? So one thing I can think of is display that gets on the DMV. Maybe if you can put more information and the importance, that may help.
Okay, happy to do that. The Donate Life California is looking at some new things to provide to DMVs, and so I will take that in consideration and make sure that we try to ramp that up.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And I thank you, Janice. I would just like to say that once again, I went off of script that the city attorney put me on and forgot to announce that item 6's proclamations will be done under public comment. So I do have one person from the public that would like to speak. And if you can, City Clerk, please bring her in. Public comment is open for this item. I know. You're up.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a few sort of uncomfortable questions for the Donor Network West. May I be allowed to ask these questions?
Yeah, you can ask him that this is a proclamation, and what we'll do is we'll get you the answers. I don't want to start a question and answer. I should have had this under public comment, which you wouldn't do it, but let's hear them.
Okay, so when I was younger, I would be more than happy to donate my organs. But lately, because we know what is going on in China, donation of organs to me is almost like a dirty word. And I'm of Asian background. And as we are becoming more and more, I'm East Asian, more East Asian community, I'm almost afraid to mark that, oh yes, I am an organ donor. Then the next thing you know, the medical world in California is also very East Asian. So I'm from Taiwan. So now say, somebody sees I'm from Taiwan, oh yeah, let's get her. And then I wouldn't be able to receive the best medical care when I can still live. And then because I'm willing to donate, then, I am basically sentenced to die. So another East Asian can live because, I believe organs are by race heavily for matching. I'm also wondering if the organization cannot obtain enough organs. Would you guys consider importing organs from China? We know a lot of their organs are from, people who are like religious dissidents or political dissidents. It's just the whole thing is really kind of irking me these days. I'm also wondering, in terms of science development, aren't we able to, say from our own cell at an early age, grow different sets of organs for ourselves? I mean, there's nothing that can match ourselves than ourselves. So I think that may be the way to go. Instead of matching donors these days, there are just some bad actors out there morally. Honestly, I'm afraid. I know you are a good person because you've been in this for like many, many decades. But, the person who is, succeeding you coming up, who may be from a different set of morality, I would be, really seriously afraid. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything you wish to address in there, Janice, before we say
Yeah,
thank you one
really,
last time?
Yeah, thank you so much for your question. That was a great question. I can assure you that the regulations governing organ donation and transplantation in this country are far different from the ones in China. And no, we do not import any organs from across the world because of that. We have to make sure that we understand the laws around death as it relates to someone being a donor. And there's a lot of steps that happen. The OPO is not involved in the process until that person meets a certain criteria, meaning that it's an insurvivable situation. And then we're called in for a consult. But we do not operate unless certain things have been documented. And yes, no, we do not go by your race. It doesn't matter what race, we don't use that. There are different groups that have better matching with their DNA. But if we were to try to do that, a lot of people wouldn't get the gift of life. And so what science has done is they've created anti-rejection medications and different things that allow for people to receive organs regardless of the race of the donor or the recipient. So we don't even allow families to tell us, well, I'm only going to give to this certain race. We're not allowed to, accept organs from a family member that says that, or the legal next of kin that says that. And so we're under a lot of scrutiny, a lot of regulations, and it is against the law for us to recover or be involved in anything that doesn't meet a certain criteria. So I am familiar with what's going on in China, but nothing like that happens here in the United States of America.
Thank you, Janice. And I really hope next year we get to see you for real. I mean, we'll do the same proclamation. Make it the whole year long if we had to, but April will do fine. And sorry we had to do it all from Zoom, but we look forward to next year.
No worries at all. Thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to seeing all of you next year.
Okay, thank you. In the interest of this light just about blinding me, I'm going to go on the pretty little face when we do proclamation for Earthquake Preparedness Month. And who do we have? That will be just me. Oh, we don't have, Janice can stick around for that one if she wants to. We have a proclamation of the City
Okay.
Council of the City of San Ramon declaring April 2021 as Earthquake Preparedness Month. Whereas Californians have witnessed and experienced earthquakes that have resulted in significant property damage, injuries, and loss of life, and indirect costs. And whereas as many as 10,000 earthquakes occur each year in California, and mitigation measures can save lives, reduce property damage, and alleviate economic dislocation caused by earthquakes. And whereas California is the first state in the nation to offer free cutting-edge technology designed to alert Californians before shaking begins through the Earthquake Warning California system, including the MyShake app, Android earthquakes alerts, and wireless emergency alerts. And whereas every community member of San Ramon can take proactive steps by learning about the latest technology and innovations available at no cost to protect their families, employees, neighbors from earthquakes. And whereas incorporating earthquake warning technology into emergency planning efforts can help mitigate risk of injury and death by providing a few minutes warning to make protective actions. Now therefore be it that the City Council of the City of San Ramon does hereby proclaim April 2021 as Earthquake Preparedness Month and encourages all community members to learn more about earthquake warning resources to help build a resilient community and strengthen California earthquake preparedness efforts. Any comments from the council? Since I can barely see you guys through this. Oh, good, I can move over here. Let me see if that makes a difference. Yeah, whatever, he's back. Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I'll just say, one of our last meetings, I said, one of the things that kind of keeps me up at night is, what happens if the big one occurs and, big earthquake. And so I think it's great to bring awareness to this issue. April has traditionally been kind of Earthquake Awareness Month, and you've got the annual recognition of the 1906 earthquake and things like that. These systems that California has adopted, this earthquake early warning system, I've seen it in application, and we can get the MyShake app and that sort of thing. It may only give you seconds, and hopefully soon it'll be available widely, to notify individuals. Our technology will be able to kind of actually get it out in a mass numbers as we need. But even just a few seconds that some, like a fire department might get, where they can tie it into automatically opening up the fire, the doors, so that the trucks can get out and respond. That can all be done automatically. Those kinds of things is the value of some of these early earthquake warning systems. So I think it's great to bring awareness to it. Again, everyone should be prepared. Have a plan. Those sorts of things. You can go to ready.gov. There's a lot of good information on how to prepare, a kit at home and a communication plan and things like that. And it's better to do these things beforehand than, you can't really do it in the middle of an earthquake. So thanks for this awareness.
Thank you. Member Zephyr?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it's really important, especially living in California. It's such a reality for us. I was just going to recommend, and maybe Stephen is already ahead of this, that as part of the proclamation, we maybe do some social media posts where we, an infographic or something which talks about this is what should be in your preparedness kit or something like that. I think that would be a good idea to kind of educate the community. I don't know if there's other ways that we can kind of bring education to the community along with the proclamation. Would love to see what we can do there.
We used to give them out to council members, kept them in the car. Of course, that was the 90s, and anyway.
Yeah, we did those at the beginning of a school year every year. So when the kids were going to school, they each had one.
Some good stuff in there. Okay, Vice Mayor Perkins.
No, this is important, and I hope people can sign up. Hopefully the CERT training is going to restart here soon, because that was very valuable training not just for yourself and your family, but for your neighborhood. And that's the Citizens Emergency Response Team, and it's sponsored by the Fire District, and hopefully that'll be starting up soon.
Very good. Member Burrows?
Given our geographical location, like Council Member Jafar mentioned, like in California, earthquake preparedness is like every day for us, I think, more than a month. So every day it can happen anytime. So definitely this is very important. And for the community awareness, few years back, I remember actually I participated in a hackathon with some youth groups. It was amazing to see all those youth, the way they presented the ideas and suggestions. I think we need to encourage those hackathons within the community to bring more awareness. So these are done by some of our technical or technology organizations within the community. So we need to see how we can partner with them and continue to do those hackathons and get some good ideas from our youth as well as adults as such. And I'm glad that we have Council Member Armstrong, who is from FEMA experience. So I hope he'll provide us a right guidance and direction in future on how we can get it right. Thank you.
And thank you. A very good April month for proclamations, all very worthwhile causes. I hope we can show some advances next year. Moving on, there are no deferred consent calendar items, city council appointments. We've got the teen councils. Kathy Hyman here.
Well, yes, I am. Good
You're up.
evening, Mayor Hudson and council. It, of course, is my pleasure to be here this evening with a recommendation from the Parks and Community Services Commission for appointments to the Teen Council. As you know, the Teen Council consists of 17 committee members and 2 alternates. The chairperson is appointed to a 2-year term that is a progressive term that begins as vice chair in year 1 and progresses to the chairperson in year 2. All other members serve a 1-year term to begin in August of this year and run through June of 2022. So as normal, the city clerk announced the vacancies. Notices were placed on the city website, in city facilities, and distributed through our local high schools. We had 62 applications that were submitted by the deadline of February 16th. A subcommittee of the commission screened and scored all of the applications. A second subcommittee of the commission conducted 39 Zoom interviews over 3 evenings with the top rated candidates. The recommendation of the subcommittee was reviewed by the full commission at their April 14th meeting, and the commission approved the recommendation and asked that it be brought forward to city council for appointment. The list of 16 applicants and 2 alternates that are being recommended by the commission for appointment are listed on the staff report before you. In addition, the commission has recommended a ranked wait list be established should an opening occur during the year. So I'm looking for appointment of the teen council and alternates, as well as establishment of the wait list.
Any clarifying questions before I open public comment? Seeing none, public comment is open. Is there anyone wishing to address the public comment? If so, raise your hand or dial *9. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. The item is before the council. Well, go ahead, Member Perkins.
I'll move we appoint the presented list for the teen council for terms to begin in August.
Okay.
I can second.
Okay, that's a motion for the start August, expiring July 2022, and accept the ranked wait list. Is that correct? That's what you're asking for?
Both the appointment list, the alternate list, and the wait list.
Okay, that's
Can
good.
we read that list for council meeting? Just in recognizing all 16 teenagers that are.
No, I know what it is. No, we don't read it. Kathy does if you'd like.
I am happy to read all the names if you wish. We have
She got me.
Would you like me to read them?
I think so. I think it's good recognition. That,
yes, it is.
All right, I will apologize should I mispronounce any. So for the 16 students being recommended to serve actively on the Teen Council, we have Dia Madhawk, Sadhana Tadapali, Anya Ayapan, Saki Sharma, Sahithi Malareddy, Himaja Nimagada, Suyash Goel, Jenny Lin, Dia Parameshwaran, Julia Vu, Aditya Jan, Aditi Sharma, Dashita Prathap, Emily Cooper, Arpita Gupta, and Sanjay Ansuri. The two alternates that are being recommended are Tanishka Shawwala and Kirtana Srikumar. Those are the recommended applicants and alternates. And then on the wait list to be considered if someone is unable to fulfill their term, Kanishka Varos, Anaya Krishnamurthy, Matilda Lin, Tane Joshi, Arjun Menon, Gatik Trivedi, Tanya Gupta, Harshita, Joanna Krupadanam, Arav Verma, and Mostafa Khan.
Yep, that's what I would have said. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please. Oh, I will get even, Sabina.
Councilmember Armstrong,
Yes.
Councilmember Veros,
Due to conflict of interest, I need to abstain.
No, you could.
So as per our-
Councilmember Zafar,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perkins,
Yes.
and Mayor Hudson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Did a
I don't know,
401?
Sridhar, I had to leave the room
Oh,
when I had a conflict of interest.
Well, he's special. Unfinished business, we have none. The new business, and then we have the Open Space Advisory Committee 2020 Annual Report. I believe you're up again, Kathy.
And that is why I'm still here. So
Yes.
it is really my pleasure to be here this evening to introduce the Open Space Advisory Committee Annual Report. You know, it really came across loud and clear in the Parks, Trails, Open Space and Recreation Master Plan that open space and trails are really very important to the community. But as you know, this became even more so during the pandemic when the need to get outside and connect with nature became not just a nice thing to have, but really essential to people's health and well-being. So despite the challenges this year overall, I have to say I am very, very pleased with all of the great work that the committee in partnership with city staff from Public Works, Community Development, the City Manager's Office, and Parks and Community Services has been able to accomplish. So I'm very, very pleased to introduce the chairperson of the Open Space Advisory Committee, John Miklos, to present the report.
You're up, John. Okay,
I think you're still muted, John.
but it's a good report.
Thank you, Mayor Hudson, Vice Mayor Perkins, and members of the City Council. I am John Miklos, pleased to represent as chairperson the members of the Open Space Advisory Committee. We all believe San Ramon is an outstanding place to live. We are very fortunate as volunteer members to provide input to the City Council per our charter. There's a high level of positive energy from our members who are deeply appreciative of the opportunity served upon being selected by the City Council. Gives me great pleasure to report our work product for 2020 and our ongoing goals and agenda for 2021. So, in fact, many of our team are watching now, so let's look at the slideshow. So we have members, myself, Lorraine as vice chair, Bob Peoples, Sally Scholl, Seth Adams, non-governmental, Eric Wallace, Planning Commissioner, Don Birnbaum, Parks Commissioner, and then our City Council Liaison, Council Member, Vice Mayor Scott Perkins, Council Member Sridhar Veros. Next slide. We had a number of presentations in 2020, which included East Bay Regional Park District. We had our annual update. We heard from the John Muir Land Trust, Linus Uckel as their executive director, of a number of very positive developments on the nature conservation side of things. And then Save Mount Diablo presentation was by Seth Adams. Once again, a number of very positive connections, and accomplishments for our overall East Bay. Staff presentations included the following. I'm not going to read them all, but I want to highlight several of them, specifically the laborers' property and how that became very much preserved in the best interest of the city of San Ramon, as well as the flora and the fauna of the East Bay. We have significant progress on the San Ramon trails. And then as a victim of COVID, our Easy to Hike transitioned because Easy to Hike went out of business. Staff did a fantastic job in not missing a single step and changed over to outer spatial. We'll get into some more details on those later on. And last on this list would be just how popular the open space led walks are and a real learning experience for all. Next slide, please. So to summarize the Open Space Committee for 2020, we wanted to enhance and maintain internal and external partnerships. We formed an outreach subcommittee, and that included information from the John Muir Trust and Save Mount Diablo. We want to continue our partnership efforts with East Bay Regional Park District. We continue to work for open space in terms of the city website, and we had many new programs planned in 2020, but unfortunately, COVID really knocked out a lot of those plans. Next slide. So I mentioned earlier the Outer Spatial Trail app. We've had outstanding feedback that it is very helpful to multiple generations of San Ramon residents. And that ties in quite well with the city website, which provides information on San Ramon trails, but then also ties into trail safety and really enhances the trail walking experience. Once again, from the citizens of San Ramon, that's been extremely heartwarming to get the feedback of just how positive it's been. Before COVID struck, there were 2 hikes in 2020, in January and in February, both with 40 participants. Next slide, please. We did not get involved with development projects, but the City Council did issue a letter of support for the Tassajara Parks Open Space Project. Once again, that's a connectivity and a tie-in in terms of the entire East Bay. And then we talked significantly and worked on the recommendations identified in Parks, Trails, Open Space, and Recreation Master Plan. As the City Council is well aware, the Master Plan is another example of how far in advance the city of San Ramon is in terms of having a master plan, setting priorities, and then making those priorities happen over time. Next slide, please. Further enhancements on the trails included publicity, signage, connections, and trail quality. There are so many people that contribute to this. In particular, staff has done an outstanding job. Staff did a great job in flipping from Easy to Hike, who went out of business, into Outer Spatial. Even though Easy to Hike was highly touted, Outer Spatial has been extremely well received and just possibly is even better than Easy to Hike. We're very pleased with the transition to Outer Spatial. And I think that usage of 5,282 times during the first quarter of use was extremely indicative of just how popular it is. Next slide, please. we started the ball rolling regarding defining and measuring the city's open space and trail system. So part of, in effect, the analytics and the metrics would be, we need to understand what we currently have in terms of trails and currently what we have in terms of open space. And then as time goes by and in connecting with what I had mentioned previously regarding the master plan, as well as the general plan, we believe that those metrics will allow us to measure progress as time goes by. I want to highlight the service standard of 6.5 acres of parkland per 1,000 residents. We want to make sure that we are a fact-based committee and that we provide helpful input to the city council as the city council makes the decisions moving forward. So by defining to highlight the 6.5 acres of parkland per 1,000 residents, it really helps that metric to enable San Ramon to continue to be a leader in open space, not just in California, but the entire nation. Next slide. We have some very ambitious 2021 goals. We had significant conversation and decided to, in effect, lump these together in 3 major points. So first of all, it's the protection and preservation of open space in the city's planning area. Then it's the management and use of that open space. And then we continually want to reach out to the citizens to encourage outreach and education about open space. In fact, that picture there is views from the laborers union property, which to me is a tremendous success story of how the city worked through a very difficult, long drawn out process and ended up with an outstanding vista viewpoint, and will get even better as the years go by. Next slide, please. Goal number 1, protection and preservation of open space in the city's planning area. We want to be very active in highlighting the areas of what is potential open space and how priorities can be established so that city staff, through the direction of the city council, can work toward continuing the progress of preserving and protecting more open space. We want to identify and evaluate the feasibility and effectiveness of potential funding sources and other means for acquiring lands available to the city to acquire and preserve open space. To be more specific with that, we're hopeful that our outreach partners and various funding avenues outside of the city can work together with the city's goals so that long-term collective coalitions can be built and then utilized to actually preserve and protect open space. Next slide, please. We continue to have interest in terms of tying into the ability to advise the city council on how housing allocations are presented / mandated from the state and how those particular future directions will impact the city of San Ramon. We certainly don't have the answers, but we believe that by understanding, in effect, those directives as well as providing more and more hard data regarding what we do have and having our plans to preserve and protect moving forward, we'll be in a much better situation as a city to do what is best, not just for the East Bay, but also for San Ramon. Next slide, please. Then this transitions into the management and use of open space. We want to tie in our trails with various neighboring trails, which include the East Bay Regional Park District, as well as other opportunities from trails for other neighboring localities. We also, once again, from the metric of having not only our mileage calculated, but that we can, in effect, working with our various constituencies, create targets for the city's trail system so that it becomes even more widespread. Next slide. So one in particular that I'd like to highlight here would be completing the trail from the Old Ranch Park to Dublin border with the link to the continuation of the trail in Dublin. I think that's very important. And I think this ties into all of our trails have great visibility in terms of the trails, but also tying into the Iron Horse Trail, which is a main thoroughfare for the entire East Bay. Next slide, please. This goal number 3, encourage outreach and education about open space. It is amazing to me just how receptive the public is in terms of trying to learn and understand more about connections with the great outdoors. And there is a vast amount of people that want to do more, that want to get outside, and that we truly, look at these pictures, we truly have a wonderful opportunity to see so much, to connect with nature. So the more that we can encourage outreach, the more that we can provide answers, in effect, helping the education about open space, I think it truly impacts and improves the quality of life for all of our citizens. Next slide. More of the same. And specifically, it was quite interesting that came up, even though we're in certainly in the potential for drought designations, there are actually some opportunities for flood insurance rates to be decreased for certain San Ramon residents in certain particular areas. Certainly don't want to oversell that one, but that's definitely something that was really a surprise. Next slide, please. I'd like to specifically list some of the upcoming open space led trail hikes. Certainly everyone on this in the city council meeting is invited. We would love to have city council participation in any of these, and there's a sign up process through the city website. But starting May 22nd, we're hopeful that all the COVID restrictions can be addressed and that can happen. That's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a hard hike, 4.5 miles duration and chunk of time. So we'll have May 22nd, another one on June 12th, another one July 10th, and another one on August 7th. Kathy and her staff have done an outstanding job in coordinating and leading the staff support of all these trail hikes. And there will be multiple open space advisory committee members on each one of these. Next slide, please. I'm very happy to answer any questions.
Who took all those pictures in your slide deck? They are beautiful.
Oh, you guys are going to leave me on mute. Cool. All right, that's the way it's going to be. Scott, you're up.
Thank you very much, Don. Really great presentation. I've been really pleased with the activities. I try and make all of the Open Space Advisory Committee meetings. I certainly make more than half, but you guys have really made an effort to do meaningful things, and I really appreciate the time and effort that you and your committee members put into this. I also appreciate the staff that supports it, because you guys keep up such a big, fast pace that you really keep the staff humping and pumping too. So thank you all, and thank the staff for supporting the committee.
Okay. Member Zephyr?
Yes, well, Jim, thank you so much. That was a really good presentation, and we're so proud of our open space, and really appreciate you working so hard to making sure that you are driving it through analytics and facts, and sharing some of the numbers. I think those are really important numbers that the community also needs to learn about. And I truly meant those pictures. And as I was looking at the slide deck throughout, the pictures were just gorgeous. And I'm like, who's the photographer? And that might be an opportunity to get, I know there's some groups out there that are taking beautiful pictures of San Ramon and our open spaces. And I don't know if the committee is connected with them, or, if you guys are running some sort of a competition or something for them to submit pictures of our open spaces. But yeah, just want to say thank you. I think especially in COVID, this has been such an asset for San Ramon, and for us to continue to make sure that there's a committee specifically focused on open space. And lastly, Kathy, your team has been phenomenal in making sure, right? We've had really well-kept trails. There's, just the basic stuff, getting onto the trails, some of the signage and everything during COVID. I know you've done a lot of work to make sure that people stayed safe, even during the pandemic. So thank you so much.
Okay, clarifying questions from Member Armstrong and then Veros.
Yeah, I'd like to also thank you, John, for the report. I did have a question. First, I think we all have as a priority, to the protection and the preservation of our open space. I was at a senior advisory council meeting a few weeks ago, and one of the things that was brought up, you mentioned as one of your accomplishments for 2020, you researched the option of a connection between the senior center and Old Ranch Park. And that's also in your goal number 1, or I guess goal number 2E. And what is the status of that potential switchback path going from the senior center up to Old Ranch Park?
That's a great question. Maybe Kathy can add some more specifics, but as in most things, it does come down to money. And there was also a reference, there are some, I believe it's called East Bay Trail Dogs or some other volunteers. And staff has specifically taken this on as a to-do item. And they had a price from a contractor. I believe they're also trying to see if we can get it done on a volunteer basis. I don't have a recent update. We'd be happy to provide a very up-to-minute as we do some research. Anything you'd like to add, Kathy?
Yeah, I was going to say that staff have been working mostly on the connection between Old Ranch and the Dublin border. And we've got the trail dogs almost done with an MOU to get them to do that piece. That works out well, then we're coming back for that next section. So that's kind of the next section on our radar that we're going to be working on. But we wanted to try out this trail dogs and see if we could make that work with the first one.
Okay, sounds good. I just want to make sure it was out there. That certainly has got the attention of the folks over at the senior center. That's something they'd sure like to see. Thank you.
Excellent question.
Well, thank you, Jim, John, for excellent presentation. As we all San Ramon residents take pride in our open space, and recently, whenever new residents moving into San Ramon, one of the things I hear from especially the realtors, when I inquire what's there, they're looking for, one of the key is our open spaces. So it's whatever the work that is done by our open space committee as well as Kathy's team is fantastic. Thanks for putting together all these hikes and education awareness. I want to stress a little bit on our goal number 3 about outreach and education. Few years back, actually, I had been to a hike led by our open space committee, and it was like Seth Adams who provided us the guide as a guide for the that hike. He shared such a fantastic information while during our walk regarding the whole, like the geographical information as well as the historical information. And it's like phenomenal. I cannot still forget about it. And as a matter of fact, I brought up this in one of our previous joint council meeting also. Was thinking that, is it possible to work with our outer special organization, who the software that we are using, the application that we are using, is it possible to, we need to check if it is possible to add Seth Adams' commentary about this open space or during the hikes. If we can add that as part of our curator commentary, that will be fantastic, I think, because he not only touched base about the archaeological aspects, he touched base with geological and every other aspect, like history also along with it. So a lot of good information he shares. So it will be a great benefit for our kids as well as adults. Like for me, it was a lot of good information that I got. And every time I always look forward to have a hike with Seth Adams after that, because he gives so much good information. So if possible, if we can utilize this technology and incorporate his curator commentary into that, that will be fantastic. I think it will add a lot of value.
I think that's a tremendously good idea. I will take that and let me coordinate with Kathy and see how we can incorporate it. One of the great things about Seth, and Seth is absolutely a treasure for all the flora and fauna of Northern California. So if we can get it so that that additional information and the way he presents it and the way he is able to determine the importance and the priority and how it's going to be conveyed to people, it's spectacular. So it's a really good idea. Thank you very much. And let's see what we can do to make that happen.
Members ever?
One more quick one, like I really like
Quick one, you too.
I really like all your partnerships, fantastic partnerships, especially with East Bay Parks. Once again, thank you very much to our Open Space Committee and Kathy's team. Special thanks to Jordan for all the hikes he did help us. Thanks.
Can I throw one thing in there too? It isn't just Parks and Community Services. It's important to note that this committee is supported virtually by the whole city, by Public Works, Engineering, Planning, the City Manager's Office. So as a group, it's an effort to help support all of it.
Great work.
Member Zephyr?
Yes, John, one more clarifying question. Is the Viderman property on your radar? That's a question which, I've been asked and some residents have approached me about. Are you guys exploring that, looking at, how do we make it accessible to public?
Yeah, especially the connection to Bishop Ranch, John.
Yeah.
We're getting the same person calling us.
One of the things that staff does a great job is steering the committee away from talking about specific targeted projects so that city staff can provide, can do their job. I don't want it to seem like that project or that property is not important. It's very important, but we, by our charter, really avoid specific instances of property that may or may not become in play. Kathy, would you like to add to that?
Not the way she's smiling.
I'm happy to add it to our list. And it hasn't been very specifically, as John said, on our context of what we've been working on the agendas, but we'll definitely take a look at it.
Great. Wiedemann, got it.
I see the city manager leaning forward.
So we are exploring all areas of open space throughout the city. Without getting into much detail, there are conversations going on in every part of the city.
Oh, I will be.
Not any that I can share because they're hypothetical situations, and we're looking at partnerships to maximize our ability to acquire additional open space if possible, and partner with the parks and do East Bay Regional Parks and do a lot of other things such as that nature. It's just not in such form that I can really provide highly detailed information, but those talks are happening.
That's exactly what I wanted you to say, Joe.
Okay.
Okay, let's open the public comment. We have two speakers that want to address us. The first one, call-in user 1, has been there for a long time. Can we let her in? I'm guessing.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so this comment was really addressed to the teen council.
Do you want
I
to wait
just
for
noticed-
public comment and
Oh, I'm so sorry. This is not public comment yet?
No. But I mean, this is public comment for the Open Space Advisory Committee.
Got it. Okay, so I'm going to mute myself and then I will wait for the proper public
Okay,
comment. Thank you.
no problem. Lorraine, can we bring Lorraine in? There you go. Unmute. You have the floor.
Hello, good evening, Mayor Hudson, City
Yes.
Council members. Wanted to say thank you as a member of the Open Space Advisory Committee. Wanted to say thank you for our appointments. We have a great group of folks trying to bring our talents to accomplish this lengthy list of goals that John presented to you tonight. Wanted to thank Kathy and Christy and all the rest of the staff for making a great transition to virtual meetings for us and making it possible for us to keep doing our work during COVID. And, they set up speakers for us. They do the reports. We are all, kind of working together with the same goals of, preservation and education about the flora and the fauna, and trying
Great.
to make sure that the public and the other agencies are all just keeping awareness at the forefront. So as we've heard in the master plan elements, we want to make sure that everything is utmost in everyone's mind, and that everyone's got their goals aligned, and that we're all working as hard as we can to keep things moving in the right direction for preservation and education. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. We look forward to another year of hard work in support of the City Council and the people of San Ramon and what they value. So thank you.
Well
Thank
said.
you. Okay, is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this item? Then we will close the public comment and the item is before the council. Anyone else wish to add something before I pontificate? I particularly love that item that we are looking at all open space. Because as you remember, Kathy, I brought something in that says because special concessions were made to the developers, the golf courses at San Ramon Golf and Canyon Lakes should remain open space permanently. And San Ramon Golf is a watershed. You learn that when you back up to that creek and it overflows onto the 8th fairway, or as we found out the hard way, the seniors. But yeah, it would be nice if somebody were shown that piece that the golf courses are, even though they're zoned golf course, the underlying zoning is open space. They were our open space in the early years of the city. That's enough of my pontification. Anyone else want to make a comment before we accept the report and let John go back to what he's watching on TV? Got any scores? No? Okay. We don't need to do a motion on this one. We accept the report. Thanks again, John. Keep your eyes open and any opportunity. That's what this all was started for, opportunities for the city.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for your leadership.
We accept the report. We're on to 10.2. This is a public hearing, resolution number 2021-58, establishing fees and charges for various municipal services for fiscal year 2021, 2022, and repealing resolution number 2020-33. Oh, Christina Franco, you have a report for us.
I do. Good evening.
Yes.
Annually, city staff reviews the fees and charges as part of the overall budget process, makes recommendations related to the fees to the city council. The Parks Commission did review their fees at the February 10th meeting, and they recommended the proposed fees go to the Finance Committee. The proposed fee resolution was taken to the Finance Committee on March 8th of 2021, and the committee did not recommend any changes to the fees and charges at that time. On March 23rd, the council introduced the resolution and set the public hearing for this evening. And there have been no changes to the fee schedule since that last meeting on the 23rd. The recommendation tonight is for the council to open the public hearing, take public comment, close the public hearing, and adopt a resolution establishing fees and charges for fiscal year 2021-2022 and repealing resolution 2020-033.
Okay, thank you. Any clarifying questions before I open the public hearing? Seeing
the bicycle,
none.
one quick question. The bicycle fee was actually reduced from $10 to $3, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Which I think in a community like ours, to me seems fair.
We'll move on to it. I mean, any clarifying questions? I will open the public hearing. I understand that you did receive something about bicycle fees and everybody's read it. Are you going to read that to us, Christina, or does it need to be read because everybody's received it?
The city council did receive the one written comment prior to the meeting, and it will be added to the city's website if the public does want to see it, but we won't be reading that public comment tonight.
Okay. And we will comment after we close the public hearing also, council members. Public comment, if you wish to speak under, I know we have at least one. I'll drag this out a little bit and see if we can get more participants. If you wish to speak under public comment on this item, please use the raise your hand feature on Zoom or dial *9 on your telephone. When it's your turn to talk and call upon a name if provided. Remarks are limited to, well, Jim Blickenstaff wants to talk, so we'll go 3.13 seconds. You can have that much time and there will be a clock running. So if we can, let's bring in Mr. Blickenstaff. He seems to be the only one who wants to speak to this. Jim, how in the world could you go through open space and not speak?
Well, it was sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I didn't see anything to be offended by. And so there you go. No news from me is good news usually.
Okay, you're up.
Yeah, on this one, there is some issues. The fees are understandable to a large degree because they relate to services the city provides to developers and landowners and people wanting some kind of development or action from the city that serves their interests, serves their profit motive sometimes. But the ones that are still punitive and still need to be addressed are the fees that normally apply to the residents. And that's the fees for appeal. They're still what I consider punitive and excessive. And I'd like that to be looked at more thoroughly and not just packaged together with fees that cross the gamut of bicycles to sign fees and everything else. So the problem with them is they're still the same. They're from $1,500 to appeal a zoning decision to $2,500 to appeal a planning commission decision. And that most of the time I found that falls on the public, that falls on the residents who often have very legitimate reasons to appeal. And that kind of heavy fee can inhibit them and restrict that ability to appeal. So I think it would behoove the city to relook at the fees that hits the public especially hard and make them more amenable to the public and make the appeal process more available to the public. I can cite you examples of where citizens appealed an issue from the Planning Commission to the council, and the council reversed it because it had some issues that were still outstanding. and that appeal turned out to be very valid. And in the process, the citizens had to come up with $2,500, and they were not reimbursed for that $2,500. So I see a message to the citizens with these kind of fees right now that is not what the city should be saying to them. They should be more open and connecting with the residents in terms of their issues. And that starts with the appeal process. Then you make it more friendly for the citizens to appeal what their heartfelt legitimate concerns. And I think that'll be a kind of outreach we want to do for the input from the citizens, along with some other things, but definitely making the appeal process more available and less expensive for the citizens is an important first step. So I hope you'd relook at that. You can approve perhaps the other things that seem more nominal, but this one has repercussions for your constituents that I think need to be looked at for ways to deal with it, either reimburse them or give them a smaller fee that's more manageable. Thank you.
Jim, before you leave, you mentioned it's, I forgot what, 2,500, whatever it was.
Yeah.
These are appeals from the planning commission, or are you talking about just any appeal? Like, I don't know if you could appeal it from the zoning administrator. Specifically, you were talking about an appeal from a planning commission decision to the council.
A zoning administrator decision and planning commission.
Okay.
Most of the time it's planning commission to the council. Yeah, but it actually includes zoning administrator too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we will close. And now I'm paranoid because I didn't pay attention to what Martin put down here. So I'm reading it word for word. Okay, we can. Oh, I closed the public comment and it's before the council. That I could close the public comment. I've closed the public hearing and we are down to council discussion. All right. Anyone want to jump out there right away?
The Finance Committee did a pretty thorough review with staff, and we recommended adoption of the ordinance with no changes.
Okay, I would, and the reason I did it that way is if Council Member Zephyr wants to get in ahead of me, I did read the at length about the bikes, because my personal feeling, I haven't made any bones about it, bike traffic's going to jump like crazy. I mean, I almost laughed the first time you presented this because we went from 10 to 3. And it's the last thing I thought I'd hear anything about. But the concept that we do away with licensing, I don't know if I'm ready to go for that. I don't even want to get, I mean, maybe set aside afterwards the city manager and hear how many horror stories that police have probably had. It might be a tie between bicycles and golf clubs stolen, but if you ever find mine, let me know. Anyway, Councilmember Zafar, how do you feel on this one?
Yeah, but the other thing is, right, it's very expensive. Our bike plan that we need to implement is extremely expensive, and we can provide the services and then cut all fees. You know, some of the examples of some cities might be, you know, it's a different city. I think we are still a city, you know, where we can afford to pay these fees. Obviously, you know, if there's circumstances where somebody cannot absolutely pay that fee, there's always exceptions. But I think generally, you know, we're already struggling with funds on how we're going to fund our bike master plan. And so if we do away with that small nominal fee as well, I mean, how do we provide the service then? So that's the understanding people need to have as well, that because we have this amazing city and all the amazing services, we need to have fees associated with the services that we do provide. Otherwise, we can't offer the same level of service.
Yeah, I would concur with that. I think that it's very difficult to push for a decade that we move to multiple transportation systems objectives, license everybody else, and then say no, not to the bikes. There's a disconnect there. This is, anyway, that's my own personal feeling on it. If I want to take another look at a second look, finance has heard this. They could ask to look at it, or policy has heard it. They could ask to look at it. I'm prepared to go with this tonight. The issue that Mr. Blicken's staff brought up, I'm prepared to stay exactly what I believe. I'm not sure if you've made the motion yet, Mr. Perkins, but or Member Perkins. But it's always good to take a look at what your fee structure is. And it's my understanding that this appeal, the last time we did it, I think Scott was a rookie. I mean, it's like one of the first or second policy. So maybe if it has been a while, just to send it to well, I'd say take your choice, policy or finance on this thing. It's difficult. 2,500, yeah, that's a big number. And this one was not the usual, boy, how do I get out of this now that I said usual? But this is not where somebody just wants to appeal because it's only $100 just to delay is a success. But 2,500 for the people that I think he's talking about, yeah, probably was a big deal to them. And there's no reimbursement. So maybe there is something to be looked at. I don't want to make any decisions or start moving anybody in any directions, but it should be something that, I mean, we do 5-year reviews on everything, so why not this? But I'm prepared to stay with it as written tonight, and I think that's what the motion was or was going to be. Anyone else?
Well, I was going to move resolution 2021-058 establishing fees and charges for various municipal services and repealing resolution 2020-033. That's my motion.
Okay, motion Perkins, is there a second? Second, Zephyr? Go ahead, you had a comment also, or Member Armstrong?
No comment.
Oh, you're, see, I'm too quick. Your little man with the red slice went through real quick. Holy cow, there's no council discussion, then let's do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Armstrong,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrows,
Yes.
Councilmember Zafar,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perkins,
Yes.
and Mayor Hudson.
Yes, 5-0 again. City manager comments. We've been waiting all night.
This will be a surprise, but I actually do have a few comments for you tonight. I'd like to remind everybody that the San Ramon and Doherty Library front doors are open now for grab and go services. That's happening during the regular library hours. Patrons will be asked to limit their visits to no more than an hour and abide by the safety protocols that are in place. The services that are available include the computer use, reference and account help, holds and pickup, checkouts and returns, and browsing. As you know, we're moving. The City Hall reconfiguration is pretty much finished, and we've moved into City Hall. Community development is now in City Hall and should be up for permits and things like that, I believe tomorrow. They're still in a state of unpacking, but we are able to continue business as usual. The permit's open, the center is open. And the building is substantially complete. We plan on having a grand reopening by Memorial Day weekend. So if folks are around, they want to have a walkthrough and see the new City Hall area, we would invite them to do so. Our public safety complex is coming along nicely. Phase 1, the police department's moving over to the opposite end of the building. They'll be starting that the week of May 10th. They'll be moving. And then the police department and the emergency operations building will be built concurrently with the expected back in, I should say, of the police department to the refurbished police department by the end of 2021, and ultimately with a completion date of August of 2022. So there's a lot of activity starting up now with the Public Safety Center, and we're looking forward to getting that completed. And then, as you're probably aware, there was a dry winter, and so we're keeping our eye on the status of the water reserves and how it's going to impact San Ramon. So it's likely that East Bay Mud and SRSD will be presenting to the council at some time here in the future to give the council an update with what the water status is for the coming year. And that's it for me.
Two things. One, I wouldn't even wait. Just start whatever. But I really like this idea of this ribbon cutting. This place looks great, Joe. This was fantastic. I mean, I don't know where you got this guy. I remember going up to see where his, or maybe that was the community center, the person in the contract. I'd never heard of that little burg where he was from. I think it's 5 houses and a road goes through it. But I was just thinking, if we're going to have some kind of a grand opening, I know what we could serve there if we can get Spadowski on it. Because if you haven't been there yet, this is worth. This was a great, anyway, I'll get to that when it gets to my comments. Thank you again. Public comment is open. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak to this august body about anything not on the agenda? Now is the time. I know we had one attendee that wanted to get in. If you have not previously spoken, or please raise your hand, feature on Zoom, or dial *9 on your telephone. There she is. Let her in. Unmute. You're good.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to make a comment about the observation that I had heard. Just so you know that I don't have visual of you. I'm all on audio. So when I was listening to all the names that were called for the teen councils, I was a little bit surprised that, you know, I don't think I heard anyone who might be white. So, I mean, like, you know, because we were so into districting basing on the fact that we are more Asian, but now we're so Asians, we don't really have other diversities, you know, at the younger age level. And I'm Asian, by the way, and I'm truly concerned. I think, you know, in order to have a vibrant and a more intelligent community, we really need to have diverse participation. So I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't hear anyone, I mean, just judging by the last name, of course, I could be wrong, that, you know, I think we're having reverse problem at our teen level, that the problem is what Rafferty, the lawyer, accused us for being too white at our age group, when we are really, you know, Asian, and then at our teen council's level for their age group, it's like we're too Asian and not enough white or Latino or other, you know, breakdowns of the race. So I don't know how they select. Maybe we can encourage a little bit more other participation based on, you know, just diversity. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, public comment. There's no other people wishing to speak to public comment. We'll close the public comment. City council comments at this time. Vice Mayor Perkins, you jumped out there quick.
Thank you very much. Now, by the way, on tonight's evening news broadcast, East Bay Mud board voted to declare a stage 1 drought emergency and call for voluntary 10% cutbacks. So I'm sure we'll hear more about that, but that was on tonight's news. Let's see, looking for my notes. TVTC had a meeting and we passed our budget for the year. And let's see, we included our construction cost index approval for raising our fees going forward based upon our policy. Kimley Horn gave an update on the Nexus study. I-680 HOV closure expenditure, we approved sending some money to CCTA. They already built it, and then TVTC was on the hook for a few $1 million of that, and so we paid that, and we approved our operating budget. And the Pleasanton at their Carpenters Union demolished an old building and built a new building, and we refunded a piece of their fees. Innovate's I-680 policy committee met. They gave us an update on the 6 elements. I'm sure Dave knows them by heart. But we went through those, and that's making some good progress. So that's my report for this evening. Thank you.
Cool. Who wants to jump? Sridhar, we're going to pick on you. I mean, we're going to highlight you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I attended our San Ramon Historic Foundation meeting on April 19th. So a few updates are like, it's good news is that Kiwanis granted $500 to our Historic Foundation, and Historic Foundation also working on Water Smart grant from Water District grants. So it looks like they have certain conditions to meet in order to get that grant, like organic, you need to use organic vegetables or the plantations that are going to be grown, and also no pesticides in the garden, those kind of restrictions. So they reviewed those points. And another important one is about gift shop management. As you know, Pat Boom, she's volunteering for a pretty long time, it looks like, so she want to bring more new people. So if you know anyone that is who are interested to be part of the gift shop management at our Forest Home Farms, please point them to contact our Historic Foundation. And the next one is about on the community side. On Sunday, April 25th, there was a youth-led anti-AAPI hate crime rally at Central Park. So glad to see that our youth community joined their hands against this Haitian hate, to stop the Haitian hate. It's like pretty much most of them were like our DVHS students and Cal High students. So we are fortunate to have such a sensible and community-oriented youth within the community. And then yesterday, Monday 26th, thanks to our city manager, Joe, for inviting us to learn about latest work from Contra Costa's Behavioral Health Community Crisis Response Initiative. It is pretty promising looking at the presentation, and especially the objective-oriented that they are approaching, and the information that's shared with the stats. That shows, like, for me, there is no progress without measurement. So I'm glad to see that they are going in a direction where they can present a very objective-oriented information for the community. So thank you for that. And one more good news about San Ramon Cricket Association Youth. 3 of the youth cricketers, they got selected for under 19 national. So like definitely from a youth program that is from San Ramon Cricket, it's a big accomplishment at the national level. So congratulations to city leadership at council, commission, and staff for providing the facilities and encouraging our youth to participate in that. So those are my updates. Thank you.
Okay, Council Member Zephyr, and then Member Armstrong.
Thank you. So last week we were at Forest Home Farm Council Member Mark Armstrong actually got his hands dirty and planted the tree. I just was there for the photo op and cleaning the barn. But that was the first time, they shared that volunteers were now coming back, and people were very excited. There were, families with younger kids and teenagers, and, somebody who just moved to the community. So thank you, Kathy, for this, vibrant volunteer program that you've started. I've been seeing pictures, and, people have been engaged. So I think people do want to give back, do want to get engaged. So that was the first of the event there at the farm. And I think last week they did sheep shearing, and generally it's a big deal when they do sheep shearing at the farm, but I guess because of COVID, they didn't want to gather a crowd. COVID numbers are looking good, and vaccine. So according to Contra Costa, they were supposed to vaccinate 1 million people by May 31st. They vaccinated over 1 million people by last Sunday. So I think it's certainly a moment to celebrate. And today the president came out with the guidance, the CDC came out with the guidance that people who are fully vaccinated can be without masks outside. I know it's going to we'll have to get used to that. We're so used to covering our face now that it's like taking off that mask is almost so, can we do this? Will we be judged? But I think that's, that's really good news that we're finally going back and opening up. And I'm certainly looking forward to having in-person meetings, City Hall being open again, and hopefully that's, we'll be making that decision soon as well. And then the Arts Foundation continues to have their virtual film club, which is gaining more and more participation. So if you haven't been or seen any of the movies, they're actually pretty interesting movies. Some of the movies which I would never have watched on my own, but you kind of see the movie, you check it out through Canopy, through the library, so it's free to you, and you can YouTube it as well, and you can find them there. And then there's a discussion at the end of the month, and those have been very interesting discussions. So just want to thank the Arts Foundation for continuing to do something in the arts for our community.
Will you be sharing pictures of Farmer Mark?
I actually do have one. It's on my social media post.
Farmer Mark, you're up.
Farmer Mark. Well, it was a great day out there with Councilmember Zafar. Forest Home Farms is such a beautiful place, but it was a nice day. Great to see the volunteers out there, and it's always a good time to visit Forest Home Farms. Councilmember Perkins and I also were at the COVID vaccination site in San Ramon, over across from the city center, sponsored by the San Ramon Valley Fire District. This was last Friday. We were out there supporting. So I won't say it was a light turnout, but it was a moderate turnout, and it was great to see people and talk to them, and just get to hear some of their concerns and allay some of their fears as well. On the 19th, Councilmember Rose and I we held the infrastructure committee meeting. We reviewed the 5-year pavement management plan. The annual update certainly was interesting to me to just see how they cobbled together all the funding sources of the gas tax, or the Measure J funds, and the refuse impact fees, state grant funding, and some of the other kind of reallocation of funds. But they make it all work. The current city, the overall PCI, pavement condition index for the city, is 78. It's pretty good relative to a lot of the Bay Area cities. And they reviewed the critical point approach to pavement management, which seemed a very logical approach to take an action before a particular street falls down into the next lower category that might require a more costly rehabilitation. So the big CIP projects coming up are the Al Costa rehab this summer, and then the Crow Canyon widening, which is currently in design, and hopefully will get awarded this summer as well. I also attended a teen council meeting. They approved the teen council annual report, and then Parks and Community Services provided the walking district charrette overview to the teen council that was assembled. And then last week, I also attended the Tri-Valley Affordable Housing Committee meeting that went through a status of all the affordable housing for all the Tri-Valley representatives. Everyone had turned in their annual progress report as of 1 April. They provided a housing, where the status of where they are in their housing element updates, and most jurisdictions had either hired or were in the process of hiring a consultant to assist with that housing element update. And then they reviewed some strategies for achieving housing affordability. Dublin provided some examples of some of the things they've been doing. Bottom line is everybody's struggling to meet their very low, and moderate numbers. Not so much struggle in the normal market rate housing, but everyone's struggling. There was some discussion of potential for some appeals, and though I'm not sure there was much expectation of success with any appeals, the idea was to at least build an administrative record of putting it out on the table. And that's all I have for this evening.
Kid, yeah, love the chances of that appeal. HCD just blessed the work of ABAG on that one. I'll leave it alone. I want to go back to what Sridhar was talking about, two of the Pleasanton youth cricketers on the made the USA under-19 national training squad. That'd be Rohan Pasanapalli, did I pronounce that right? And Skanda Rohit Sharma. And congratulations to them, both students at Doherty Valley High School and their residents of San Ramon. Also received a letter for Arisha Chakrabarti. She is a semi-finalist for the 2021 U.S. Presidential Scholars, and we'll find out in May if she's moving on from that group. That's big news for San Ramon. They keep cranking out our scholars. I remember when we had the 14-year-old and unders, and we won the national championship for junior PGA. So kudos to our kids. The census came out Monday, not the actual census, but some of the movement and who's going to be representing whom. And I don't know if anybody else, I know Mark was there. I think Sridhar was on also. I wish they'd get on with what our population is, or maybe I missed it, but it would be nice to find out what all that work was about. I want to give something to all of you who get a chance. Please read AB 1346. It's about off-road engines. Doesn't sound like much, but I'll bet every one of us has had this email. Joe, I thought you were saying I was on mute. You freaked me out for a minute there. These guys are picking on me and you're helping them. We all have received emails about leaf blowers, and the state is going after leaf blowers. AB 1346 Berman, I think it's just a couple pages. Take a look at it. People ask you about it. Why the importance of going to the electrification of that. Two things of great importance. Salt and Straw opened up last Thursday. I was first in line, and I'm telling you, I cannot wait to get home to go through the next flavor. They are lining up around that place. Now, if Spadowski
Which
ever
flavor
told,
you have to share? Which
pardon?
flavor did you which flavor did you try though?
All of them. No, I seriously, I had a touch of the coffee. I like the caramel, the salt and caramel. I like the brownie. I even like the hibiscus and there's nothing bad about it. It's terrible. I'm mixing them in milkshakes. I mean, it's helped me lose at least 10 pounds from the 15 that I was shooting to stay off. So I've only got to gain 5 more. Anyway, forget it. It didn't work. Salt and Straw, very popular. I'm amazed when you walk around that place, how many people have this. So if we're going to do a grand opening, I mean, if the city manager wants to take it from his budget, we could discuss it. Then there's the all-important, your mayor threw out the first pitch at the Tassajara Valley Little League, San Ramon Valley Little League. And knowing that I could not embarrass my council, it only bounced once before it flew by that catcher. It was intentional. I wanted to give him an idea how fast the heat was going to come, because the second one painted the black knee high and popped the glove. And I didn't let anybody see me put my arm in a sling about 10 minutes later, but that's, hey, when you get old, boy, the sound and the feel of those adhesions breaking loose or something else. Anyway, that's my report. I will be much better prepared. That is 20 years between opening pitches, and they better not have a second one for at least a month of recovery. We are convening to close session.
Mayor Hudson, one quick appeal, personal appeal. As you know, India is going through a major crisis with COVID-19.
Yes.
Like President Biden graciously approved some of support and help to India. Mm-hmm. And any of the council members, if you have access to oxygen supply, please let me know, or any kind of help that you can provide, please let me know.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay, we will convene to close session pursuant to Government Code 54.957.6. for city council to meet with city negotiators regarding labor negotiations with the San Ramon Police Officers Association. I will ask if there's anyone from the public who would like to speak before the council convenes to close session. I see 10 attendees. The public comment for the closed session going once, twice. Public comment is closed. We will convene to closed session. It's my understanding we got to go back out and then in. So
Correct.
we will see you at 9 o'clock in case you need 5 minutes. Okay,
We have a quorum.
we good? Are we on?
Yes.
We are on. Okay, we are back from closed session. The council met in closed session and has given direction to the city negotiators and has nothing to report at this time. Seeing no further action for the evening, we will adjourn to our next regularly scheduled council meeting, which will be held on May 11th, 2021. Good night, all.
Good night.